Cable news partisanship and the presidential race of 2016. The use of the word race in this title tells much about this particular election. It will likely go down in history as a media-fed horse race, a game if you will. The key players in this game boiled down to Hillary Clinton, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, big corporations, and the press. As you can see, Cruz and Rubio failed to touch the percentage of coverage attained by either Clinton or Trump. However, Cruz did receive more coverage than Sanders. Odd due to the fact that Sanders often polled higher than Cruz, and Cruz dropped out before the finish line. The amount of coverage continued to be skewed throughout the campaign, although what's also interesting is the imbalance in the tone of coverage. Clearly, people liked Sanders. There was little dirt in his past. His record was consistent with his current views. He was everybody's Uncle Bernie, but his media coverage still fell far behind that of Clinton's. Clinton was seen as aloof, not connecting with the public, and yes, a female. In a still male-dominated society, people will often hold women to a higher standard than men. It would appear that the press is no different. While Trump got bad publicity for his locker room talk, it didn't seem to hurt his polling. Hillary was more condemned for her emails, though investigations proved them to be insignificant. Then there was the public's mixed feelings and misinformation regarding Benghazi, all helping to put her in a bad light. But the media still afforded her more coverage than Sanders, despite the fact that he addressed hundreds of thousands at his rallies and was winning in many states. Then there is the anomaly of Trump's coverage. As we see here, his coverage was always at an all-time high. Despite the more positive press of other candidates, they received less coverage at all times during the campaign. Even before his decision to run, Trump was not only a celebrity of television and business, but a very outspoken celebrity. The more outspoken he was, the more coverage he received. While oftentimes his press was bad, it seemed to be ultimately shrugged off by viewers. While Cruz gave a well-received showing in the debate with Bernie Sanders on health care, his coverage compared to Trump's was minimal. Kasich, who earned the most favorable coverage of any Republican, got the least amount of press. Journalists and the media in general have a responsibility to the public, first and foremost to tell the truth, but also to not mislead or intentionally misinform. How can this be accomplished when cable and network news give an overabundance of press coverage to one candidate simply because he makes a good story? The answer is that it cannot. This is why many felt that the media dropped the ball in this election. They failed to portray an accurate account of the race itself. They minimalized the importance of the issues in favor of headlines and skewed the coverage to suit their ratings. Where do people turn who are disillusioned and no longer trust mainstream media? They turn to those once considered underground news, political comedy shows forced to do real news in the absence of such, and news talk shows. People also turn to social media, news from other countries, radio, and print. They turn toward the truth, and a media that will report on the issues facing their world, not just a horse race. This disillusionment with mainstream media has served to begin a feeding frenzy of sorts for truth and facts, but fake news continues to thrive. In a world where anybody can post anything or tweet anything, how do people combat fake news? The answer? Fact-checking. Whether you get your news from cable, YouTube, Facebook, or your local paper delivered to your door, fact-check. Do your own research or use an app or a website. Watch for signs such as inflammatory language and claims to debunk a myth. Corroborate the facts in several reputable media outlets. Be informed.